Hi there, my honors to crew. This is Mr. Waugh, and this is a short video introduction to your second optional practice opportunity that you're going to have this summer. This particular one is going to focus in on rhetoric, and in particular, how to identify techniques, and in this case, a particular technique, and also to think about whether or not the technique is really any good. Okay, so the particular rhetorical technique that we're going to look at today is called the Motte and Bailey. All right, and it's a technique that has been around for a while. And essentially, what happens with the Motte and Bailey is someone makes an outlandish, controversial, way out there claim. They make an argument for this position. And then when they're challenged on it, they retreat back to a safer or uncontroversial opinion. And in a way, they act like that's what they were saying all along. And that is known as the Motte. Now, the Bailey and the Motte are, if you can think of castle imagery, the Bailey is kind of an open space that's right below a castle. And a Motte is like a fortified castle tower, right? So a Bailey is an open space surrounding a castle. Again, think of a wide, free space with which you share your opinions. And a motte is a castle or fortified position of strength. So again, think defense or safety. All right. So when we're thinking of this in terms of rhetoric, right, the Bailey, think of it as a space to say anything. It's a space of social freedom or license. Think of it as someone looks at the area and they think to themselves, geez, I'm really kind of free to put anything out there, just anything at all. But what they need to remember is that it's also a vulnerable place. The Mott is a position no one could argue with. So remember, how it works is someone makes this very controversial claim, and then when they're challenged on it, they run back to the Mott. And think of a Mott rhetorically, again, as an argument that no one could attack. People run there when challenged. The things that they say at this point in the argument are so uncontroversial that no one could possibly argue with it. In other words, no one can get or attack that castle. Okay. Now, let's get into further about how it works. So let's just let me provide you with a given situation. So let's just say a war that's already started. Let's say the United States goes to war. All right. Now, obviously, there are going to be people who, would say, oh, we shouldn't go to war for reasons A, B, and C. And there's going to be some people that think we should go to war. That's perfectly debatable, but, right? Some people are going to say, especially if it's clear that the war is not justified, for example, or it could potentially escalate and lead to world catastrophe. So think of someone who is in a Bailey, and what they say is everyone should support our invasion, right? Well, the war starts and we invade a country, and fill in the blank there. Okay. Now, someone comes to them and they say, the challenge, well, what about the costs? What if this gets out of control? Which are perfectly reasonable things to ask when our country is going to war. And then once those people feel challenged, right, what they might say, a Mott position, what they might pull back to is, well, don't you support the troops? Well, if you remember what I was just saying about the Mott, very few people can actually challenge that, right? Like, why wouldn't you ever want to support the troops? But notice, guys, that there's a distinct difference between supporting the troops and actually engaging in or starting the war. Those are two different things. So here's what you need to keep in mind. The Motte and Bailey is known as an informal fallacy, which means as an argument, it's flawed. It doesn't work. A fallacy rests on flawed logic. Okay, so here is your challenge. I'm going to give you the Bailey here. And the previous practical, or I should say optional summer practice um, was in the form of kind of learning about some of the things that have been going on this summer in our country socially. Well, this is also a social thing, but it boils down to the rhetoric that's being used. So I'm going to give you a Bailey here, okay? And these often come in the form of claims or slogans. So here's yours, okay? Abolish the police, defund the police. I'm sure if you've been paying attention to the news at all, you've heard these slogans, all right? But this is a Motte and Bailey, okay? So your job is to explain how this Motte and Bailey works, right? What's flawed about this abolish the police or defund the police slogan or argument? Furthermore, in this challenge, what I want you to do is I want you to go beyond explaining the flaw of this particular Motte and Bailey, but also tell me why that kind of argument is harmful. Why is it that this is a rhetorical argument that can actually be more lead to more harm than good? Okay, so you're actually going to need to do a little bit of research and digging on this. Find out what people are saying about abolish police, defund the police. I'm sure you've probably seen it. You may have even watched the news and seen it, talked about it with mom or dad or what have you. Um, so if you have any questions, just let me know. But this is your challenge, and I also have some written directions up on Google Classroom. But I look forward to seeing some of your responses here. Thanks, guys. We'll see you later.